My name's Lance Tuck. I'm the author of the Paladin Sequence. I was born in western Kansas in 1970, attended public school out in western Kansas, graduated in 1989 from Scott Community High School, and I went to K-State there. At K-State, I had multiple scholarships, studied neuroscience, archaeology, and criminal justice, came into contact with a lot of very interesting individuals. One of the history professors that I interacted with was a man by the name of Bob Linder. Bob was actually a priest. He'd actually studied at the seminary in St. Louis and was present when the exorcisms that the movie The Exorcist are based on were actually being conducted. He knew Father Bowdern and actually brought in recordings that were made of those exorcisms, allowed us to listen to those in one of the classes that I took from him. He taught a class called History of Witchcraft and the Occult. It was a 500-level history course. Class was closed when it was listed on the schedule, so in order to get into the class, you actually had to attend the class, and then he would allow you in. In addition to that, I have background in psychology and anthropology, and this also feeds into it. My studies of psychology made me very curious about structure and function of the brain. What makes us think about the things we think about? What allows us to process concepts that are higher than the mundane, things that are beyond that which is within my arm's reach? Things like, what is God? Why is God? Must there be a God? Anthropology, of course, fed into my studies of human history and human religion. As a child, I was raised Mormon. As you can tell, it didn't take very well, but I learned a lot from the Mormons. They're very scientific in a lot of their points of view, and that taught me about some of the other religions. Many of the other Christians out in the area took issue with the fact that my grandfather taught us principles of evolution. Evolution isn't telling us how things started. Evolution tells us how things have changed. It's observable. It goes beyond theory at that level. We know that it happens. How did it start? I don't know. But that's part of why I write fiction, to investigate things like that, to kind of try and get to the root of what I think is at the foundation that makes us all alike. All of us come from an original background. We all have this idea about a power greater than ourselves, about something higher than us. In the Paladin Sequence, I've investigated some of that because it's something that's always been very big in my mind. As a child, I was accused of being a devil worshiper. I wasn't. But if you're going to accuse me of something, I'm going to learn everything I can about it. So I studied religion, all kinds, including those aspects of diabolism and devil worship that people thought were really occurring in the 1980s. 1985, 1986, we saw a historical swing in the United States, the Satanic Panic, they called it. We found out by 1991, 92, it wasn't really an actual thing. There were some crimes that were being done. The majority of what was going on was being sculpted by the media and by political powers for political reasons. In my storyline, we find out that isn't actually the case. The people who did suppress the stories were trying to hide the truth of what was going on. Naturally, that's not real, but fiction allows us to explore these fields without actually having to go down those roads ourselves. My mind has always been one which sets up all of these alternatives, all these possibilities. Writing allows me to explore those possibilities, those alternatives, and my background gives me a lot of experience in different ways to bring in that information to make it palatable to different readers. Now, my views on religion are kind of extreme. I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in demons. I don't believe in angels. I don't believe in ghosts and spirits. I believe in physical phenomenon. Now, do some of those physical phenomena fit the criterion that we call demons, ghosts, angels? Maybe. Show me specifics, I'll discuss those in individual cases. But in general, I try and stay away from real heavy involvement in religion. But religion has been the driving force behind much of human history. Many people don't like religion. They believe that religion suppresses free will, that it suppresses creativity, it suppresses individual thought. Well, if the free will, individuality, and creativity that's going into it is psychotic, then I'm all for religion suppressing that. Okay? The thing is, they're ignoring other religions. They're looking at Christianity, Judaism, Islam as it's practiced by the majority of the Muslim world. These are all religions of faith, religions of peace. They're not religions about going out there and trying to kill as many people as possible. Each of them can be turned that way. I believe that Sigmund Freud was the one who said it best in his story, his treatise, The Future of an Illusion, a discussion of religion and its implications for psychology. Without religion, the opium of the masses, we would be subject to the wills of the animal nature of our fellow human beings. Religion suppresses those elements which would otherwise be just far too nasty to allow for interaction, society, and general civilization as we know it. My fascination with religion is that people will accept it without criticism, without any sort of critical thought in many cases. Most of the religions don't require this. Often the fundamentalists will tell their people, oh, you must believe this way, only do this, know this, do this. But in truth, if you read through the religious scriptures yourself, you'll find that is not what it says. The religious scriptures tell you that you must go on that mission for yourself. And that's really why I'm so into this. The Paladin Sequence allows people to read through the symbols that I've put there to draw their own conclusion. I reframe certain elements of religion and philosophy in a new way when they're expressed by different characters within the story. And I hope that in some way that makes the old stories new once again, opens them up for a generation that believes they've already heard these stories and don't want to hear them again. Just because you've heard them doesn't mean you've heard the end of them or that you've heard the truth behind them. The truth is something you'll have to decide on for yourself. Science and history are a foundation to the story because it's a good anchor point. Most people have experience with science, and most people have some knowledge of history, so it gives those commonalities that we can all grab onto. From there, I can spin the story and change it to whatever I need. In several places in the story, we do that very thing. We take something that is known to be a common bit of knowledge, and we change it wildly. We take that common bit of knowledge, alter the prism that it's viewed through, and suddenly, it isn't what it seemed like before. One of the big ones we use is a twist on the creation myth. The original creation myth that everything was built all within 7 days, and then we get to see the demon's version of that myth. It's not the same thing. It's different enough that the priests that he shares that information with, their worlds are shattered.